Welcome to Real English Voices. I am your host, Tom, and today we are going to dive deep into something that changes everything. It is not about grammar rules today. It is not about vocabulary lists. It is about the engine that drives all of it. We are talking about your brain.
Hi everyone, I'm Ria. And Tom, I am so excited for this one. When you told me the topic was train your brain to win, I actually got a little nervous. It sounds intense, like I need to go to a mental gym and lift heavy weights.
That is exactly what it is, Ria, but the weights are not heavy iron. The weights are your thoughts. You know, I've been teaching English for years, and I see a pattern. I see students who know every grammar rule in the book, but they freeze when they have to speak. And then I see students who make mistakes, but they communicate beautifully. The difference isn't the English level, it's the mindset.
I feel that so deeply. I remember when I first moved to the US, I was terrified. I had studied English in school for 10 years. On paper, I was advanced, but in reality, I was a baby. I was scared to order coffee because I thought the barista would judge my accent. My brain was trained to lose. It was trained to look for danger.
That is such a powerful admission, Ria. Trained to look for danger. That's actually how our brains are wired biologically. We're designed to survive, not to give public speeches in a second language. Your brain sees a potential mistake as a threat, just like a tiger in the bushes, so it shuts you down. Today, we are going to talk about how to flip that switch, how to tell your brain that speaking English is an opportunity, not a threat.
I love that. So where do we start? If I'm a listener right now and I feel that tightness in my chest whenever I have to speak English in a meeting or on the phone call, what is the first step to training my brain?
The first step is awareness of your internal dialogue. We need to catch the thief before he steals your confidence. Most people have a running commentary in their head. It says things like, "Oh no, I'm going to forget the word," or "they think I sound stupid." This is negative self-talk. It's like having a bully living in your head. To train your brain to win, you have to replace the bully with a coach.
That is hard, though. It feels automatic. Like I do not choose to think those negative things. They just pop up. It's like a reflex.
Exactly. It's a reflex because you have practiced it. Every time you think, "My English is bad," you are reinforcing a neural pathway. You're making that road in your brain a superhighway. We need to let that highway get overgrown with grass and build a new road, a road that says, "I'm a communicator, I'm learning, I'm brave."
So is it fake it until you make it?
Not exactly. It's more like believe it until you become it. Science shows that the brain has neuroplasticity. It can change, but you have to feed it the right data. If you feed it fear, you get anxiety. If you feed it evidence of your success, even small successes, you get confidence.
I think I need a moment to process that. It's scary to realize how mean we are to ourselves. Before we go deeper into how actually to build that new road, I think we should pause. We've used some interesting words just now.
Let's do it. We always want to make sure you guys are following along. Here are 3 tough words we just used. First is internal dialogue. This refers to the conversation you have with yourself inside your head. It's your inner voice. Second is neural pathway. This is a bit scientific. It basically means the connection between neurons in your brain that transmits information. Think of it as a physical road for your thoughts. And third is neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. It means your brain can change and grow no matter how old you are.
Those are great words. Neuroplasticity is my favorite because it gives me hope. So here's my question for you listening right now. I want you to answer this out loud or in your head. What is one negative thing your internal dialogue says to you right now about your English? Identify it. Catch the bully. Okay, Tom, back to you. We've caught the bully. We know our brains can change. But how? How do I stop the panic when my boss asks me a question?
Great question. The panic comes from the pressure to be perfect. The winning brain doesn't focus on perfection. It focuses on connection. When your boss asks a question, your old brain thinks, "I must use the perfect grammar tense." The winning brain thinks, I have an answer to this problem and I will share it simply. You have to lower the stakes.
Lower the stakes. That sounds nice. But in a business meeting, the stakes feel high. If I say the wrong thing, I look incompetent.
Do you, though? Let me ask you this, Ria. If a colleague from France or Japan spoke to you in English and made a grammar mistake, but you understood their brilliant idea, would you think they are incompetent?
No, absolutely not. I would just be focused on the idea. Actually, I would probably be impressed that they are speaking a second language.
Exactly. That is the double standard. We judge ourselves so much harshly than we judge others. Training your brain to win means treating yourself with the same kindness you treat others. Here's a practical exercise. I call it the victory log.
The victory log. I like the sound of that. Is it a journal?
Yes, but specific. Every day, you must write down 3 things you did well in English. Not things you messed up, things you did well. Maybe you understood a joke in a movie. Maybe you sent an email without using Google Translate. Maybe you just said good morning to a neighbor. When you write these down, you are forcing your brain to scan for the positive. You are gathering evidence that you are a winner.
I actually started doing something like that recently. I started recording myself speaking for just 1 minute a day. At first, I hated listening to it. I only heard my accent. I only heard the pauses. But after a month, I listened to the first day and the 30th day, and I was shocked. I could hear the flow improving. It was undeniable proof.
That is gold, Ria. That is undeniable proof. You bypassed your emotional brain and looked at the data. That is how you win. You stop relying on how you feel, because feelings lie, and you rely on what you can see and hear. You know, another huge part of this is physical state. Your body talks to your brain.
Oh, you mean body language?
Yes. If you're hunched over, looking down, and your voice is quiet, you're telling your brain, I am in danger, I am weak. Your brain responds by releasing cortisol, the stress hormone. And guess what cortisol does? It blocks the part of your brain responsible for language recall. So you literally forget words because you're acting scared.
Wow. So by acting scared, I'm actually making myself dumber in that moment?
In a way, yes. You're cutting off access to your own vocabulary. So to train your brain to win, you have to fake the posture first. Stand up straight, pull your shoulders back, breathe deeply into your belly. Even if you're terrified, this physical stance sends a signal to your brain saying, we are confident, we are in control. It clears the fog.
It's like that superhero pose idea. I've tried that in the bathroom before an interview. I have to admit, I walked out feeling different.
It works. It's biology. We are biological machines. We have to learn how to operate the controls. But Ria, I want to touch on something emotional, the fear of judgment. We talked about it briefly, but it's the biggest wall for most learners. They feel like everyone is watching them under a spotlight.
The spotlight effect. I read about this. It's the feeling that everyone is noticing your mistakes, your clothes, your hair. But in reality, everyone is just thinking about themselves.
Precisely. Everyone is the star of their own movie. They're not extras in yours. If you make a mistake, they might notice it for a second, but then they go back to thinking about their lunch, or their deadline, or their own insecurities. Realizing that nobody cares as much as you do is incredibly liberating. It's freedom.
It is freedom, but it's a hard pill to swallow. We want to be important. We want people to care. But in this case, being unimportant is a blessing. Okay, Tom, we're getting deep here. Let's take a breath and look at the language we're using.
Good idea. Let's review. We've been using some strong concepts. Here are the 3 words for this section. First is incompetent. This is an adjective describing someone who doesn't have the necessary skills to do something successfully. It's the opposite of capable. Second is cortisol. This is a chemical in your body, often called the stress hormone. It's released when you're scared or anxious. And third is liberating. This describes a feeling of freedom, like a heavy weight has been lifted off your shoulders.
Liberating is a beautiful word. Learning English should feel liberating, not suffocating. So here's my question for you listeners. When was the last time you felt physically stressed while speaking English? Did you notice your shoulders tight or your breathing shallow? Think about that physical reaction. Back to you, Tom.
We have the posture, we have the victory log. What about the people around us? Can they help us train our brain? Absolutely. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you hang out with other learners who are constantly complaining, saying English is too hard, or laughing at mistakes, your brain will adopt that negativity. You need a winning tribe.
A winning tribe. I love that. But it is hard to find positive people sometimes, especially if you are in a non-English speaking country.
It is hard, but not impossible. The internet is a big place. You can join communities like Real English Voices, where the culture is about support. But even more than that, you need to find what I call an accountability partner, someone who's on the same mission. You agree to speak only English for 20 minutes a day, and you agree, this is crucial, not to correct each other constantly.
Wait, really? Do not correct each other? I thought feedback was important.
Feedback is important, but flow is more important for the winning mindset. If I stop you every 10 seconds to fix a preposition, I'm training your brain to hesitate. I'm training you to doubt. For this exercise, we want to train flow and confidence. We want to train the brain to survive the conversation. You can do error correction later, but when you're in the ring, you just box. You do not stop to tie your shoelaces every punch.
That makes so much sense. I used to have a language partner who corrected everything. I eventually stopped calling her because it was exhausting. I felt like I was taking a test, not chatting with a friend.
Exactly. It killed the joy. And when the joy dies, the learning stops. The brain learns best when it is having fun. This is dopamine. Dopamine is the reward chemical. When you laugh, when you connect, when you feel understood, your brain releases dopamine. This chemical basically highlights the memory and says, save this. This is good. If you make your English practice painful, your brain says, delete this, avoid this.
So we literally need to have fun to learn faster. That is the best news I have heard all day. It gives me permission to watch silly TV shows or listen to comedy in English.
It is not just permission, Ria. It is a prescription. I prescribe you to have fun in English. If you like cooking, watch cooking shows. If you like cars, read car blogs. Do not read boring textbooks if they put your brain to sleep. A bored brain is a closed door. An excited brain is an open window.
I have a question about blocks. Sometimes I'm having fun, I'm flowing, and then suddenly, boom, I hit a wall. I cannot find a word. My mind goes blank. It's the worst feeling. How does a winner handle the blank mind?
The blank mind is terrifying. It happens to everyone, even native speakers. The difference is how we react. A learner panics and thinks, my English is failing. A native speaker just thinks, what is that word again? And moves on. The strategy here is circumlocution.
Circumlocution. That's a mouthful. What does it mean?
It basically means talking around the word. If you forget the word for umbrella, you don't freeze. You say, the thing you hold over your head when it rains. You describe it. You use synonyms. You use your hands. The goal is communication, not vocabulary retrieval. If you can keep the conversation moving, you win. The moment you freeze and apologize, you lose the momentum.
So, do not say sorry?
Try not to. Instead of saying, sorry, I forgot the word, say, let me explain what I mean another way. It keeps you in a position of power. It shows you're still in control of the conversation, even if the specific word is missing.
That is such a subtle shift, but it's powerful. It changes the dynamic from I'm failing to I'm finding a solution. It's proactive.
Everything we're discussing today is about moving from passive to active, from victor to victor. You are not a victim of the English language. You are mastering it. It is a tool in your hand. Sometimes the tool is heavy, yes, but you're getting stronger.
I feel pumped up, Tom. I feel like I want to go find a stranger and talk to them right now. But before I do that, let's pause for our words again. We had some good ones there.
We sure did. Here are the 3 hardest words from the last few minutes. First is accountability. This is the state of being responsible for something. An accountability partner is someone who helps you keep your promises to yourself. Second is prescription. Usually this is a note from a doctor for medicine, but here I used it metaphorically to mean a recommended action for your benefit. And third is circumlocution. This is the strategy of using many words to describe something when you can't think of the exact or simple word.
Circumlocution is going to be my new favorite skill. So here's my question for you. When was the last time you forgot a word? Did you freeze or did you try to describe it? Be honest. Next time, I want you to try describing it. Okay, Tom, we're getting close to the end. I want to talk about the long game. Training implies time. It doesn't happen overnight.
No, it does not. And that is where most people quit. They train their brain for a week, they do not see fluency, and they stop. This is the plateau of latent potential.
The what? That sounds like a sci-fi movie.
The plateau of latent potential. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a room that is 20 degrees below zero. You start heating the room, 19 below, 18 below, 10 below. The ice cube still looks exactly the same. You have done all this work heating the room, but you see no result. You might think, this isn't working. But then you hit 0 degrees, and suddenly the ice melts.
Oh, I see. All that work was happening, but it was invisible.
Exactly. English learning is like that. You study for months and feel like you are at the same level, but deep down, your neural pathways are thickening, your passive vocabulary is growing, your listening ear is tuning in. You are heating up the room. You just haven't hit the melting point yet. You have to trust the process.
That is so encouraging because the plateau is where I usually give up. I feel like I am stuck, so I stop. But you're saying being stuck is actually just the gathering phase before the breakthrough.
Yes, stagnation is often an illusion. If you are putting in the input, the brain is processing it. It's like planting a bamboo tree. For 5 years, you water it and see nothing. Then in 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet. If you stop watering it in year 4, you lose everything. You have to keep watering your English, even when you do not see the leaves.
That requires so much faith. Faith in yourself.
It does, but that's what makes a winner. A winner is someone who shows up when it's boring. Anyone can study when they're excited. Winners study when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when they feel like they're not improving. That discipline is what trains the brain. You are teaching your brain that you do not quit, and that identity shift spills over into everything in your life, not just English.
So English becomes a vehicle for personal growth. It makes you a stronger person.
100%. Learning a language is one of the hardest things a human brain can do. If you can do this, you can do anything. You are literally expanding your consciousness. You are gaining access to a whole new world of people, literature, business, and culture. It's a superpower.
I have never thought of it as a superpower. I usually think of it as a chore. But you're right. Being able to connect with billions of people I could not connect with before, that is magic.
It is magic, and you hold the wand. You just have to practice waving it. Don't let the fear of a messy wave stop you. Make a mess, break things, laugh about it, and do it again tomorrow.
Tom, this has been incredibly motivating. I feel like I have a roadmap now. It's not just about memorizing words. It's about victory logs, power poses, finding my tribe, and trusting the ice will melt.
That's the summary of a champion, Ria. Before we sign off, let's do one final check on our vocabulary.
Let's do it.
Okay, last 3 words. First is plateau. This is a state of little or no change following a period of activity. It feels like being stuck on a flat surface after climbing a hill. Second is latent. This means existing but not yet developed or manifest, hidden, like the potential inside the ice cube. And third is stagnation. This is the state of not flowing or moving, like a pond with no fresh water.
Great recap. And my final question to our listeners is this. Are you willing to keep watering your bamboo tree, even if you do not see it growing yet? Are you willing to trust the work you are doing?
That's the question that decides everything. Thank you all for joining us on Real English Voices. Remember, your brain is listening to everything you say. Tell it a good story. Tell it you're a winner.
Thanks for listening, guys. Go out there, make mistakes, and be proud of them. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye for now. Keep talking.